he did say that he is going to offer Jokic a 3-year, $212 million contract extension in the next few days, but he's not sure if he's going to sign it. Now, that isn't so much a commentary on the way the Nuggets are operating, which itself is a little bit questionable, the way they've handled their roster the last couple of years. Jokic can wait until next summer and sign a more lucrative extension. However, when your 3-time MVP passes on an extension, it's a little bit unnerving. So we'll see how this plays out with Jokic. And then we have big positive news potentially coming here for the Suns. Devin Booker is in position to sign a 2-year, $150 million extension, which would smash all existing records, at least for the moment, on a per-year annual salary, $75 million a year. He is expected to get that offer and to sign it. The Suns have some work to do on this roster, but Booker has been highly engaged with them this offseason on their coaching search and their Kevin Durant trade.
All right, run the floor now. We pass the ball to Tim Bontemps. Tim, what do you got on Ace Bailey?
Well, this could be a very interesting developing story in the NBA. Me and Jonathan Gavoni reported yesterday that Ace Bailey told one of the teams in the top 5 in the draft that he was not willing to play for them and would not report to them if they drafted him. Now, we will see whether that team was the Utah Jazz in the coming days ahead. The Jazz open their summer league in Salt Lake City next Saturday. They would love to have Ace Bailey out there on the court playing in front of the home fans in Salt Lake City as they open their summer league journey with Walter Clayton Jr., their other first-round pick. But it remains to be seen whether Ace Bailey is going to report to Utah, whether he's going to be around the Jazz. And while right now this is kind of a fun little interesting developing subplot in the NBA, if he's not around the team by Monday, when they start getting ready for training camp and they start having a press conference to announce these guys, things will get a lot more spicy with this situation.
Fascinating situation up at the top of the draft. Bobby, if you were running the Utah Jazz and your first-round pick didn't show up the first day of summer camp or this Monday, how do you handle that?
Well, I think a couple things here. First, they're going to tender him an offer, and that basically he will be their property as far as moving forward. He won't be able to re-enter the draft or sign with another team. Dan, the contract is for 4 years, $40 million. That's a lot of money, $9 million. The second thing is, if I'm Danny Ainge and Austin Ainge, I'm bringing Ace Bailey in, no representation, and I'm going to bring him in a room, and we're going to talk, and I want to know if you want to be here or not, and go from there. Because you look at the video here, this looks like a player that wants to be in Utah, right? So we'll see how this plays out over the next few days. It's a unique situation. We rarely see this right now. But the Jazz do certainly have, with the contract here, I don't want to say leverage. You never say leverage because when a player doesn't show up, it's kind of a little bit of egg on your face. It's certainly there. But they do have his rights as far as moving forward.
If he doesn't want to be there and he doesn't show up and this starts to get ugly, do you see the Jazz ultimately giving in?
I do not. I do not think any team in this situation would give in. They have the ultimate position, and I do not see Danny Ainge giving in. And here's the bottom line. The Utah Jazz play in Salt Lake City, and I say this as somebody who lives in the middle of the country. They cannot worry about whether a player wants to be in Salt Lake City or whether he loves to fit on their roster. They have to draft and develop the most talented players they can. That is why they took him, despite him not working out, and they will absolutely not budge on this. And eventually, Ace Bailey is going to be a Utah Jazz. We'll just see how long it takes for him and his representation to figure that out.
Tim, tie this up for us. How do you see this all ending? Where is this headed?
I think it's heading with Ace Bailey playing for the Jazz, Graz. And here's the thing. The irony of this situation is that the best thing that could have happened to Ace Bailey, ironically, is him landing with the Utah Jazz. They've got a fantastic coach in Will Hardy, a guy who can develop his game. He is going to a team that has a gaping hole on the wing for exactly his kind of skill set as a big scorer who can make difficult shots, as a guy who believes he could be a number 1 option on a team scoring-wise. The Jazz are going to give him the ball as much as he'll want next year to be the focal point of their offense. He could be a contender for Rookie of the Year with guys like Dylan Harper and Cooper Flagg. Like, this is a great situation for Ace Bailey. It's like Bobby said, I think they just have to get him to Salt Lake City, and if they do, this is all going to work out just fine.
Yeah, who knows? We might all be concerned about nothing. We'll obviously start to find out more about this next week when Summer League gets underway in Utah. Moving over to college football now, and a sound-off. Steve Spurrier had some thoughts on the hype behind Texas and Arch Manning heading into the season. Here's what he had to say. Wendy?
Most people are picking Texas to win the SEC football.
Most
correct?
people are. I think that is going to be the consensus preseason pick.
They've got Arch Manning already winning the Heisman, too.
Yep.
And my question is, if he was this good, how come they let Quinn Ewers play all the time last year? If
Even
Arch
though he was hurt all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's still.
And he was a 7th-round pick.
Yes.
You'll all be happy to know that Wendy figured out where he was going, and he got there safely.
Congrats,
EJ
Wendy.
Manuel, Mike Tannenbaum, and Kevin Clark here for this segment. EJ, what was your reaction to what Steve Spurrier had to say there?
Well, guys, you saw me kind of wiping my brow, shaking my head. I mean, for one, why, Coach Spurrier, what are we talking about here, man? Look, I don't think it correlates to say a player that gets drafted ahead of a new incumbent starter is indicative of that new starter not being that good. I mean, when you look at the quarterback situation at Texas coming into the 2024 season, Quinn Ewers didn't lose his job. He didn't play bad enough to say, hey, Arch, you're going to now be our guy. Considering in 2023, they leave winning the Big 12, they make it to the CFP. That was all through the arm and the play of Quinn Ewers. So, again, I understand Quinn Ewers went much later in the draft than I thought he went or should have, but I don't think that's indicative of saying Arch Manning is not as good of a player. And let's keep this in mind, too. Coaches have plans for quarterbacks. When you come in from high school, you know, Arch Manning probably came in with the level of, like, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to redshirt, I'm going to learn as much football as I can. And that's a luxury that, you know, a Texas has because you already have a quarterback that can get you to that ultimate level, which is CFP burst and things like that. So I was kind of shocked to hear Coach Spurrier say this, man. I mean, especially somebody who has coached the quarterback position. He's played quarterback, and he knows how important patience and opportunity is as well. So I think Arch Manning is going to shut up all the haters. He's going to have a huge opportunity against Ohio State. But then this is one where I could tell Coach Spurrier was just trying to pump up the Florida Gators. He had a bunch of Gator helmets behind him, guys. So this must have been like a SEC kind of podcast he was talking about. Was shocked to hear him say that.
I grew up in Florida. I've heard a lot of Steve Spurrier sound bites. He is a generational hater. I'm glad he's in media. We need content, okay? But he's wrong on this one.
Right.
Last time I saw him pop up on a media tour, it was last year. He was calling the Alabama coach the wrong name and giving analysis of a game between Alabama and Texas that wasn't happening that year. So that's what you need to know. Sometimes Steve Spurrier is not 100% tapped in. That is the case here, okay? Wait till Steve Spurrier finds out what Tom Brady's college career was like, or Cam Ward's, or Jalen Hurts. It is not a linear thing. College coaches are conservative. There's no way after Texas makes the playoffs and is on track for another playoff berth that they're going to bench Quinn Ewers for Arch Manning. By the way, Arch Manning did play a handful of games last year, and he got a small sample size there in order to prove himself and prove that he's the real deal. He's going to have success. He's going to be great in the NFL. Texas is going to be really good this year, but this is not a valid criticism. Sorry to the old ball coach.
Yeah, ironically, guys, this was a Steve Sarkisian infomercial, and Steve Spurrier just gave massive credit to the rival, and here's why. In this day and age of college football, you are not only the head coach, you're the GM, you're the strategist, you're the relationship developer, and the fact that he got, and EJ made a great point, like where Quinn Ewers got drafted is the beginning of the story. I think he's going to be a really good player at some point in the NFL. He has NFL ability. And to have Arch Manning in the program being developed, who may actually be the first overall pick next year, the year after, whenever, is really remarkable. So hats off to Steve Sarkisian to manage this situation in 2024 college football.
100%.
That was a great job by him. And Steve Spurrier just looks like it's from a generation ago. It's not the way college football is anymore, guys.
All right. Well, what are your expectations?